Here's a friends. Today I'm going to see one game. This game is played between Rubinstein and Salve from 1908. Let's start the game. This game demonstrates the art of playing against the hanging pawns, and of course, white is Rubinstein, so we'll see very high level technique here, and uh, I'll explain to you as much as the game offers. Let's go. So the game started with d4, d5, c4, c5, knight c3. This is kind of the bad defense. So we do it with an inverted move order, first with e6, knight c3, and then c5. This is the Tara's defense. This opening is very well known, mostly played by Kasparov. With black against d4, Kasparov improvised a lot on this opening. cd5, cd5, knight f3, knight f6, g3. Now after g3, our threat is bishop to g2, and we want to fianchetto our bishop. Knight c6, bishop g2, planning short castle. Now this move particularly aims against this d5 pawn. This pawn is already isolated. cd4, knight d4, now it's isolated pawn. But now after queen b6, knight into c6, b into c6, short castle, bishop e7. Now let's stop and see. Now there's a pawn on c6. These structure with these pawns on c6 and d5 are called hanging pawns. Why? Because these pawns are like stranded from rest of the pawns by one file. These are two pawns. These two pawns are called hanging pawns. So hanging pawns. Now we'll first evaluate this position. We'll start with the pawn structure. Whose pawn structure seems better, black or white? First evaluate the pawn structure. Well, the pawn structure seems like white's better, because black has two hanging pawns, so that's not one thing you want, and that's why it's good for white to have for his opponent to have two hanging pawns. Let's go deeper. So after bishop to e7, what will you play? Pause the video and think. Evaluate the position and think. Let's dive in this world of hanging pawns. So strategy of black in hanging pawns is that black has the space advantage, so they want to push their hanging pawns further and activate their pieces. White strategy is very simple. White needs to block the squares in front of the hanging pawns, namely c5 and d4, and then make them a weakness by attacking them. This is very clearly demonstrated by Rubinstein in this game. Now what will you play is my question. Pause the video and think. Okay, nicey dicey. Now let me tell you, when you are seeing this video, there are three things you need to do. When I say to pause the video and think, you have to pause the video and think. There's an important movement that's hiding there. If you do, you'll improve in the quality of your study and also take most from this video. Second thing is that you, my friend, you need to once you need to just watch. Okay, so this is the one rule you need to follow. When I say pause the video and think, that's an important position, and you need to remember the important positions. These are important positions. You need to remember them so that you recognize. And only watch one game a day. If you do this, then the patterns will go into your brain much deeper, into your unconscious level. That's deep neuroscience right there. So this as you need to do. So here I said pause the video and think. I hope you did and found knight to a4. Now this move may seem not so promising, but thing is that we are controlling the c5. We are controlling the c5 square. Most important here is c5 square, because if this backward pawn is pushed, then the forward pawn will automatically push. It's like change the leader. So knight a4, queen b5, and now bishop e3. Now white is taking control of this c5 square even deeper. Black can't push c5 now because the d5 pawn would be hanging. So now short castle. See, c5, bishop into d5. Now short castle, rook c1, and now white has completely controlled the c5 square with the knight a4, bishop e3 and rook c1. Now bishop to g4, a tricky move. Now you attack the e2 pawn, the cooperation of the queen and the bishop. So now we play what? I offer you to pause the video and think. This is important movement. Rook. Those who say rook to e1 are completely. You are wrong. Why? Because bishop to b4 and this rook is very. This is very annoying. If you play here knight c, if you play here rook f1, bishop into e2, and you will lose more than a pawn here. You are losing at least an exchange. So rook e1, bishop b4. If you play knight c3, then it's very awkward to do like this. You have lost your activity. I'll just play something like, I think rook f d8 would suffice. Yeah, but the queen is under attack. So something like queen b7. This is very annoying. You don't need to allow this. And bishop d2 would be just a blunder, because after bishop into d2, queen into d2, queen into a4 is falling. That's why you don't want to do that one. So now after knight c3, queen b7, here it was played. So this is the one if you play rook e1. But here we play f3. Kind of strange move. You are blocking this amazing bishop on g2, but everything will make sense in just a minute. See, now it may seem you are weakening this king diagonal of the king, but it really doesn't matter. Our attack is way much stronger. Bishop e6, and now bishop to c5. So why are we exchanging these bishops? Because after exchanging, it seems like the e6 bishop will be better than the g2. But here's the thing. The e6 bishop cannot be maneuvered. The g2 bishop can. White's threat in the future is to play rook f2, bishop f1, and then get this bishop to the f1 to a6 diagonal. Then it would be really strong there. That's the idea of white playing bishop c5. That's why it's not an awkward move but a deep move. Now rook f8. And now what will you play? Pause the video and think. Important movement. Now was played rook to f2. Now it's we want really to play queen d4, but the e2 pawn is falling, so rook f2. Now not the most beautiful move to play in this position, but it will make a sense in just a second. So rook to f2 and now queen d4 is the threat. Now knight d7 was played, forcing the bishop to take on e7, rook into e7 and now queen d4. Comfortably controlling the c5 and the d4 squares. Now I hope you can see what is white's next plan. So rook e8 and now bishop to f1. Now rook ec8 and now e3. Now after all of a sudden after e3, the gates open up. Now we are attacking the b5 queen, and after and all of a sudden the bishop is active and the rook comes to the rook will in most variations come to c2. So queen b7 and now knight c5. Now why are we exchanging this passive knight? Easy. Now after exchanging this passive knight, we'll have all the control on the c5 square, and also black will be left with this useless bishop. So knight into c5, rook into c5, and now rook c7. This is very important. Now pause the video and think, can you play any other move instead of rook c7? If any other move get into your mind, think of it and make a mental note of it. So pause the video and think, what should you do? Okay, so now let's jump in and see. Now rook c7 is a bad mistake. Rook c7 at least is a see. After rook into c5, what was the evaluation again? 0.1. Rook c7 1.4. This is a bad mistake. Now why? Now it may seem so tough to play this position. It may seem almost lost, but it's not the case. Here there's a very strong move a5, after which the game suddenly equalizes. I mean, according to the engine, but it's slightly better. It may seem weird, but the game is slightly equalized, because now after a5 we control the b4 square. Now if you ask what is white's threat, b4 is white's threat, and after it white's better. So so if you play a5, then the b4 square is halted, and if you play a3 b4, then thing is that I exchange a queenside pawn, and that's a big achievement for me. I exchange my a7 weakness. But now after rook c7, white suddenly has a very strong move b4, and all of a sudden black is almost lost, because now the c6 pawn is fixed, the c5 square is fixed, and now also the a5 square is also fixed, and this a7 pawn can become a subject of attack in the future. So after rook c7, but after rook c7, Rubinstein played rook f2, a dubious move. He should have exploited the opportunity, but it's very hard to blame him, because rook fc2 is such a natural looking pressure move, but in the means b4 is stronger. So what do we learn from this rook to c7? Now we learn that if we'll jump to when the game is over, then I'll tell you the golden advice. You have to wait for it. Okay, this advice will help you save many games. So first the game, then the advice. So rook fc2. Now after rook fc2, black still didn't play a5. I don't know what was going on in his mind. He played queen to b6. So after rook f c2, what's the evaluation? Plus 0.8, 6, again 1.4. And now Rubinstein didn't look back and played a4. Sorry, b4. Now it's now this spot is fixed. a6 was played. Now if a5, then pause the video and think what will you do. It's a calculation for you. Okay, so after a5, rook into e5 is coming. Tactical shot. Now if rook into e5, rook into a5, then queen into b6. If queen into d4, then rook into a8. So that's why a6 was played. And now what happens if you play rook into d5? Another calculation for you. Pause the video and think. Rook into d5 may seem like the pawn is just blundered by black, but thing is that after rook into d5, there it's covering this move, not c5 but c into d5. After queen into b6, don't miss that rook into c2 is coming. Although white has a pawn and a queen for 2 rooks, but here the c file is c, second rank is open, and black can double his rooks and pressure. So it's not the best option for white. So not rook into d5, but here rook a5 was played. Positional move. Now after rook a5, you don't want to play queen d4, because after c d4, this c5 is just permanently fixed, and now there's no way to defend these both pawns. One of them is losing, and here we have a nice and solid advantage, almost winning. So b4 a6, rook a5, and now rook b8. Now don't here play rook into a6, because queen into b4, rook into b4, and it's still a very messy position. Still good, but not the best option to go with. So Rubinstein, typical for his style, plays a3, just defending, and now it's very hard for black to defend. See, 3.4, there's no way black can defend this position. It's just completely doomed. You lose one pawn, no matter what. So rook a7 was played, missing a key tactical shot. Now pause the video and think what should you play. What did he miss? Rook into c6. Nice move. Now after rook into c6, queen into c6, there comes queen into a7. And now I win a pawn. See, this queen is overloaded defending this c6 pawn, and the a7 rook is behind him. So rook into c6. If queen into d4, e into d4, still you lose the a6 pawn. And after queen a7, it's very hard to defend the a6 pawn. But here black found a way, played rook f8, queen c5, and queen b7. Now this a6 pawn is defended, but black's position is just crumbled here. Now Rubinstein again played a move very typical to his style. He just played king to f2. Just nice move. Now king to f2. First and foremost, he just defends the e3 pawn, and now and just avoids any d4, takes d4, queen to d4, queen to f3. So king f2, prophylactic and nice move. And also setting a little bit of a mouse trap. If you like may seem you can play rook to c8, but it's not the true story. Now what should you play in this position? Pause the video and think. Now here we can play bishop into a6. Simple. And after bishop into a6 we win, because after rook into c5 there comes bishop into b7, rook into a5, there comes b into a5, and this is just impossible to stop. That's why rook c8 is rook e8 is a bad move. So h5 is the move played in the game. He didn't fall for the trap, so h5, and now was played bishop to e2, just avoiding the rook c8 move, and here was played g6, and now just typical for his style, again he played queen to d6. Now making use of the c file, now white's threat is rook c5, rook c7. If you ask the computer what is white's threat, it will say bishop into a6 is more important. So queen to c8 was played. Idea: bishop into a6, queen c2 check. And of course Rubinstein doesn't allow it. Rook c5 was played. Queen b7, somehow defending the a6 pawn, but now rook c7. Now after queen d6, queen c8. Before all of that things, after rook c5, queen b7, rook c7. Oops. What in the world? Rook c5, queen b7. He just played very typical move, h4. Just solidifying. Now a5 was played, but now rook c7, queen b8, b5. It's just over now. a4, b6, rook a5, b7, and black just resigned, because now the least white can do is queen into e6 and then rook c8, winning an extra bishop. So here black resigned in the game, and an amazing game, played by Akiba Rubinstein. What a game! Oh my god! Oof. I hope you like the video. So let's first get the takeaways on. So first number, so the golden rule, I said there's many takeaways. So let's start with the let's start here, summarize the game. So everything started here, this knight e4 move. Here we discussed the strategies. Black strategy is to push pawns, gain space and dominate the game. White strategies is to control the squares in front of the pawn, namely c5 and d4, and use the pawns as a weakness to attack. So in the game we saw there was this f3 instructive, then this bishop c5, and then rook f2. These moves were just coming out. Rubinstein had all the so nicely executed. Rook f2, then bishop into e7, queen d4, bishop f1 idea was good, and now knight c5, exchanging the defender knight was a good one. And here it was a kind of mishap, because here he didn't see that before, but still we can't blame him, because it's very tough not to play rook fc2, such a logical move. So b4 a6, rook a5. Now we saw that here rook into d5 doesn't work, and a5 also doesn't work. So now here a3, and black just needs this rook into c6 tactical resource, and now white just neatly converted this king f2 move. Was nice, preventing any kind of counterplay and things like that. Now white played this h4 very typical style, and here he just won. So the golden rule is that the thing is that in such losing positions like rook c7 we saw, rook c7, you should not lose hope. No matter how tough the position is, if you are in, even if you are in a very tough position, you never lose your hope. Keep fighting, never let the opponent do what he wants. Keep be sharp, keep finding resources. You will save many games against the players who are not highly skilled with this tip. Never lose hope, no matter how tough or losing the position. That's the golden rule. I hope you'll. Oops, sorry. Now it's the daily puzzle time. Let's go. Very awaited. Now pause the video and think what will you do. Let me tell you a piece of advice. Very tough position. Do not take it lightly. Now pause the video and think. Think for as much as you want. Note your answer in a copy or something, and then check the answer honestly with mine. Now was played knight to f3 check. What an amazing move. Even the engine said at first the engine said minus 0.2, then it realized knight f3. Only move to win the game. Knight f3 check. Brilliant move. And after king to h5, again an only move to win or else you lose. Rook to a4, the point of the combination. Rook to a4, brilliant. Now rook into a4 is daylight. If you play rook into c7, there's this amazing rook h4 mate, Arabian mate. So rook into a4, c8 is equal to queen, and now as we can see it's just lost. Black's king is just obliterated here. Queen h8 mate is coming, queen h3 mate is coming. That's very bad, and black will just lose this game. So white is winning here. Now kudos to you if you found this knight f3 check and also calculated all the king g4, all these variations. So let's see the variations. King g4, knight e5, king g4, knight e5, and then you lose the rook. Oops, the main variation is this one. So let me make this the main line. Yeah, king g4, knight e5 check, and you lose. King g3, knight e5 check, and you lose again. King h3, knight e5 check, and you lose again. So these are all the variations. And if you play rook c1 check, what should you play? Just king into b2. And now no matter what you play, you lose. Rook into c7, rook h4, and if rook c4, then just c8 is equal to queen. Good move. Now rook into c8, then rook h4 mate, rook into a4, then queen h3 mate. So nice. So this was the daily puzzle. Okay, I hope you like this epic battle between Rubinstein and Salve from 1908. I hope you like it. Don't forget to click the bell icon. Thank you.